Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Crunch Time Coaches Show. I'm your host, Joe Hamilton, along with, of course, Daniel Braun, coach of the Mehlville Panthers. Coach, how you doing?
Doing all right, Joe. How are you doing today?
Pretty good, man. It's been a little bit since we've been able to talk, so let's get right down to it. Talk about how your team's progressed or regressed over the last couple of weeks. I mean, the last time we talked, it seemed like things were on the up and up.
Yeah, things are still moving in the right direction. We still are not getting the results that we want. We're sitting at 2-8 right now, but we are definitely moving in the right direction. We understand that it's a long season. We still have almost 2 months left in this season. We still are going to play about 15 more games, and we're just focused every day on getting better. In our last few games, that's what we did. We got better, and over this last week of practice, we've gotten better, and that's a very encouraging sign. And then just the results will follow after that if we kind of stick to the process.
What were some of the things that have gotten better for your squad?
Just overall, just a lot of the big things. The understanding of our offensive principles, the understanding of our defensive principles. We didn't have a true summer. We didn't have a true preseason, so it was a little difficult. We're putting in new stuff, and it was just a little bit of a learning curve that took longer than, I would have wanted it to. But our guys are starting to really figure it out, and we're seeing results in the game as far as, execution-wise. Just the end result, we've lost to a couple close ones lately, but we're right there.
Talk about those close ones that you have lost as of late, and why do you think you lost them?
So we lost to Lindbergh by 6 and Lutheran South by 2 at the buzzer last week. And really, those losses came down to, a few plays here and there where we were not successful. It could be, one extra time that we had a careless turnover, one missed box out, When you're playing in close games, all those little things add up quite a bit. Our free throw percentage needs to get better, but those were probably our 2 most complete games of the season. It's just that we came out on the losing end against pretty solid teams.
Yeah, you talk about that. It's always tough as a coach, and especially when you're going through kind of a rebuild, in which you guys are when it comes to like new coaches across the board and everything. Right. How tough is it as a coach to not throttle something? You know what I mean? How hard is it not to, succumb to your emotions?
I would say, it's really not that difficult because, I believe firmly in what we're doing. The players are bought in 100% and, we're making progress. So, I really don't have too much of a problem with, the emotional aspect of it because I know that we're heading in the right direction and we're doing the right things day in and day out. I know that in the long run, this is going to pay off for us.
We talk about, some of the things that you were not doing right. And that one of those was staying disciplined. How disciplined has this team been the past few weeks, even though you haven't seen results come your way?
We're definitely getting better. We're taking care of the basketball a little bit better. Positionally, defensively, that's a huge discipline thing. That it's doing the right thing at the right time. And defensively, we're getting better there every single game. So every day in practice, we're getting better there. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish.
I was just just so the discipline is getting better. There's still obviously a lot of room for improvement, but we are making strides there.
Yeah, and we have a question from a viewer here. Mark Galentine chimes in. He basically asks, what about using Omar Moore since he's your best option at scoring?
We put the ball in Eric Omer's hands quite a bit. He is a huge part of our offense. And, the great thing about the offense that we run and the guys that we have is it could be a different guy every single night. That is our leading scorer. I would say that he's right up there. We have, I think 3 or 4 guys that are averaging around 8 or 9 points, and he is one of them. So, we're kind of sharing that load. The ball's in his hands a lot. We trust him a lot on offense. He's a great athlete. As anybody who has seen a Mehlville basketball or football game the last couple of years can attest to. So we're definitely trying to utilize him.
Yeah, and it's not just Eric Omer on the team that really interests me, because you have Logan Mueller, you have Adrian Gomez, you have Chino Branson, you have all these other guys. Talk about some of those guys. How have those guys progressed?
So Logan's dealing with a little bit of a ankle issue. We're hoping to get him back in the next week or so. Just kind of some maintenance there. Adrian Gomez has been a big part of our team. He missed our first few games of the season, and since then he stepped into a starting role. He handles the ball a lot for us. He's our primary point guard. Him along with Eric Omer, they split those duties, but most of the time it ends up Adrian is kind of initiating the offense. And then again, we got, it's hard to really single anybody out, but Christian Branson's playing really well right now. Nick Seitz has improved his game quite a bit over the last few games. Enrique Dubose coming off the bench, really helping us out, being an energy guy, knowing his role really well. You can say the same for Blake Wenzel and Joey Barrett. Those are our 7 guys, 8 including Logan, that really get the bulk of this playing time, and they're doing the things we need them to do.
Yeah, that's for sure. Talk about the road ahead for the Mehlville Panthers. You have a couple more months to play yet. Talk about the challenges this team's going to have to go through.
Yeah, so the challenges is, the competition picks up. We're going to play some conference teams coming up. We have Parkway South at home tomorrow. Next week we have games against Hickman and Suckman. And we have an opportunity after that. We'll play Lindbergh. We have McClure North on the schedule, Hazelwood West. We got some talented teams that we have to deal with. A couple teams from Cape Girardeau that are always real good. So that's a good thing. That's something that I'm excited about. I'm excited to compete with some talented teams. It's only going to be a good measuring stick for us to see where we are. And then ultimately, I know I've said it to you before, but we're building towards winning a district championship. That's our goal. And our job is to get better every single day. So at the end of February, that we're in that spot where we can win a couple games in districts.
Yeah, and you always want to be there. How important is it to schedule games like that? Schedule games against teams that you may get beat, but you also can take that as a measuring stick to see, what you have and what kind of identity you want this team to have. Do you kind of agree with me on that front? And how important do you think it is to schedule these type games?
You always want to play against the best. You want to know where you stand. So we're not going to run away from talented teams. We're not going to run away from great programs. We're going to put them on our schedule as much as we can. We're going to compete with them. That gives us an idea of where we stand. That gives us the best idea of what we need to improve upon. We could schedule games where we win by 20, 30 every single night, but at the end of the day, would we really know where we need to be when playoff time comes around? And that's the ultimate, measure of success that we're looking at, as far as win-loss record and all that. We want to know where we're at the playoff time, at districts and then sectionals.
Would you say, actually, I want to ask you, is your identity starting to click in? The identity you want this team to have, do you see that starting to take shape?
Absolutely. Yeah. We want to attack. We want to be the aggressors. Offensively, we're starting to get that. Defensively, we're starting to get that as well. And, there's just little things that we look for as a coaching staff that really point out to us that we are being the aggressors on the basketball court, being physical in the paint on defense, boxing out, things like that. That is starting to really improve. Like I said, attacking the basket, going downhill whenever you have the ball in your hands. Those things are definitely starting to show up. So very happy to see that progress.
Coach, I've been excited, even though it's not really going your way a lot this season. It's the building that counts, and you're building a program there at Mehlville that I think is going to be successful for a very long time. Thank you for doing this again, and hopefully I will get with you next week and we can do this again.
All right. Have a good night, Joe. Thank you.
All right, man. Thank you. And that's been the Coach's Show. Come back tonight around 9 p.m. on Amateur Sports TV as we give you Crunch Time Nightly. Until then, I'm Joe Hamilton. I will see you guys then.